Hey guys, this is Brett Messmer from Technical Taekwondo. Today I'd like to introduce you guys to 4 stretching methods. We're talking passive stretching, active stretching, static stretching, and then finally isometric stretching, which has got to be my favorite way to improve flexibility overall. When you are getting ready to stretch, you need a solid warm-up. We're talking 20-30 minutes minimum where you get a good sweat going, you get your heart rate up, and you get yourself completely warmed up, loosened up, and ready to go. So ideally, if you are stretching to increase your flexibility, you want to do this at the end of your workout. One thing that you really need to focus on when you are stretching is controlling your breathing. As you pull down into the stretch, exhaling and relaxing and letting all that stress out. When you first start stretching, remember you are initially just relieving yourself of this tension in the muscles themselves. You're not actually getting to stretch the muscle fibers until you release that tension. There's 3 main types of stretching that people do. There's active stretching, there's passive stretching, and static stretching. And most of us are always, when we're stretching, we're going to do a combination of these. So just so you understand the terms, active stretching means I'm using my muscles to pull into the stretch. Passive stretching means I'm using some kind of an apparatus or a partner. They're pushing me into the stretch. So if you have one of those stretching machines, that you're just doing passive stretching. Static stretching simply means hold. So most people are either doing active static or passive static. You're never doing active or passive generally by themselves. So if I'm doing an active stretch, I'm using my stomach muscles and squeezing in. Whether I'm on the floor or on the handrail, it really doesn't matter. Now if I'm doing passive stretching, I'm holding on to the handrail or even my leg, and I'm pulling myself into it, not using my stomach muscles to do it. I'm using the apparatus and pulling into it. And generally speaking, you are going to get a better stretch from passive over active. The static stretching is important because you're holding the stretch. What happens when you hold the stretch, your muscles relax. When you're stretching for gains and you're stretching the muscle fibers, what you're doing is you're actually doing micro tears. You're tearing muscle fibers on a microscopic level. These muscles regrow a little bit longer. Over time, your muscles are a little bit longer. But when you are doing that static holding part of the stretch, you're releasing the tension in the muscles. And what most people don't realize is the first stretch that you do, so the first time I kick my leg up and start the stretch, I'm not stretching the muscles. I'm trying to release the tension in the muscles themselves. The first time, I'm just kind of relaxing and just kind of embrace that uncomfortable motion that is inherent in stretching. And I back it off, maybe go a little bit more. And then get into it. And by the second or third time, I'm now actually starting to stretch the muscle themselves. Understand that about stretching is really the first, and again, kind of depends on how much tension you have. Sometimes all you're going to do is stretch that tension out. You'll never actually get to the muscle. Okay? This is why every once in a while it's good to have a class where you're doing stretching for nothing but an hour, hour and a half. Start out with a good warm up, get your body heated up really, really well, and then just stretch for an hour, hour and a half. You won't be able to walk for the next couple days, but once everything gets healed, you're gonna feel so much better. I want to interrupt this video for a special announcement. We have a martial art training seminar hosted by my instructor, Grandmaster Grove, coming out of October 11th and 12th, 2025. We are located in Portage, Indiana, which is south of Chicago. It is a weekend seminar, Saturday and all day Sunday. So if you would like to get more of this type of information, please go to risingstartaekwondo.com, register for this event, get yourself locked in. I just want to invite some of my friends that I haven't met yet, and let's just go ahead and get back to the video. This type of stretching that I'm going to talk about is isometric stretching. Isometric stretching consists of tensing the muscles in the middle of a stretch and holding that contraction for 20 to 30 seconds. When you do this, you will overcome what is called the stress reflex, where your muscles will actually relax. You go back into it a second time, and you're going to be able to stretch beyond your initial maximum. This is why isometric stretching is probably one of the best methods of stretching that you can do. And again, it's always going to be combined generally with passive stretching. So you stretch either actively or passively, tense, relax, and then immediately go back into it and stretch back into that passive stretch. That type of stretching is going to give you the biggest benefits that you can. I'm going to spend the last part of this video basically talking about the isometric stretching and getting into that. So when we're talking about isometric stretching, I'm just going to demonstrate really one or two different basic exercises that I think everybody does, and you can apply these concepts to all of your other stretches that you have that you normally do. It's not about the specific type of stretch, it's about going in and combining the passive and isometric stretching to get your maximum benefit. So I think everybody does the stretch where you have one leg in and one leg out. We usually start off by coming down to the bent leg first. We'll start feeling this in the back of the leg here. Again, the idea is when I do this, don't roll your butt up off the mat. Keep your butt firmly in place, squeezing it down that way. Active, where I'm just pulling myself down, and in passive, I get a little bit more. You're going to get more benefit from passive stretching over active stretching because your stomach muscles are only going to pull you in so far. But it's good to strengthen those muscles using that, especially when you're doing a lot of kicks. It actually helps build your core up by squeezing into it, and then squeeze, and then go into the passive, and then go into the static and hold, and then relax, and do 2 or 3 sets of those. The isometric comes into play by you get into your passive stretch and then tense the muscle, tense the whole back of the leg, and then relax after holding it for 20-30 seconds. Yes, I know I did not hold it for 20 or 30 seconds, but you really want to watch me do that. It's silly. After you completely relax, immediately go back in and stretch that leg out. And you'll feel that stretch reflex actually release some of the tension in your leg muscles. And obviously you want to switch and do the other side. Same thing, going to the bent leg first. Okay. And then active, into the passive. You want to do the passive a few times to, get yourself completely into it. That's great. And then go into the passive and then tense the muscles. And after 20-30 seconds, you'll feel that release. Relax. And immediately go back into that passive stretch. You can do this with all of your stretches. There's so many benefits of doing this isometric type of stretching that it pretty much trumps everything except for partner stretching. I will be doing a separate video eventually on partner stretching. I will probably collaborate with Grandmaster Grove and get his information and his wisdom onto this video. So we're going to have an educational video on partner stretching soon. But I do want to give you one more thing before we conclude this video. Before you stand up, because if you're on the ground and you're doing all these different leg stretches, what you're doing is you're squeezing the blood out of your muscles. So if you go to stand up, you're all stiff and you're like, oh, geez. But before you stand up, if you just put your foot on your leg and just rotate the ankle 3 or 4 times each direction, and then do the other foot, just rotate the ankle. 1, yeah, this helps with ankle flexibility, but that's not what it is. What we're doing is by rotating the ankle, you're stimulating all the blood vessels in the legs, and that stimulation increases all the blood back into your muscles. So now when you stand up, you don't have all that moaning and groaning, aches and pains. If that's not something that you normally do or you've never tried it, experiment with it. You'll be happy you did, because you won't have any of that grunting and groaning anymore when you stand up. I want to interrupt this video for a special announcement. We have a martial art training seminar hosted by my instructor, Grandmaster Grove, coming out of October 11th and 12th, 2025. We are located in Portage, Indiana, which is south of Chicago. It is a weekend seminar, Saturday and all day Sunday. So if you would like to get more of this type of information, please go to risingstartaekwondo.com, register for this event, get yourself locked in. I just want to invite some of my friends that I haven't met yet, and let's just go ahead and get back to the video. I hope this helps you guys out. If you like what we're doing, again, please hit that like and subscribe button, and until next time, God bless and keep on kicking.